guys. How are you doing?
Hi, Christina. Very well. Thank you.
Thank you for talking to me about this. I absolutely love this series. I'm from Los Angeles, so Disneyland is my theme park. And I've been going there since I was very young, have been frequently, continue to go, and somehow managed to work it so that I actually cover theme parks as part of my job. So I appreciate you talking to me about this.
That's great.
We're excited to talk about it.
I'm curious, what was each of your first Disney theme park experience? And when did you realize that there was more to it, that there was so much more than just what you see?
So I'll start, I guess. I actually grew up 10 minutes away from Disneyland. And so this is back in the day when we had the ticket books. And so, of course, it was a different level to get in. And I will say that Disneyland was an extension of my backyard practically. And my parents loved to bring us in on the weekends. And so it was the world in which I imagined things. So like to be here, right, to be an Imagineer. I mean, I started wanting to be a Fantasyland girl when I was a little girl because I loved that sense of wonder. And then when I got into high school and realized, wait a second, there are people that design this stuff and build it. Like, why not just want to be that? And that's when I realized Imagineering was a thing. And I wanted to be an Imagineer from that point forward. And I'm so grateful not only to be an Imagineer, but to be at Disneyland and overseeing what we do for Imagineering there. So pretty special.
Well, today we have 12 parks around the world. But when I was growing up, we only had one. We had Disneyland. And I was living back east. So that was like the journey to go out to California and experience a magical place. So years later, when Disney World was built and we got to take our first trip down to Florida, that's when it sort of hit me that, wow, this is big. This is different. Somebody designed this. Somebody built this. And again, I didn't think in terms of who and how, but just the fact that somebody didn't, pour some water, plant and seed, and this thing grew. Somebody actually had to design and build this place. And then as I dove deeper into it and understood the different disciplines involved and the interaction between the disciplines, the integration of the final product, that's when I really realized, wow, this is not just magical for the final product, but this is amazing for the process also.
When did you guys set your sights on a career in Disney Imagineering? I mean, was it something how did you know that was what you wanted to do? And how did you actually set yourself on that path to make it happen?
Oh, I was pretty singularly focused. I knew in high school, right? I mean, again, and so I did amazingly all the things I set out to do. I wanted to be a Storybook Land, Fantasyland girl when I was a kid. And in my senior in high school, I became the Storybook Land, Fantasyland girl that I dreamed of. But I even chose where to go in college because I wanted to still work at Disneyland. I thought that working in the parks would make me a better designer. So I am so grateful. I feel so lucky to be in this role now, right? And I know there are many Imagineers that have been in the same boat, but we Imagineers come from so many different walks of life, so many different perspectives. There are many Imagineers that were super talented, never been to our parks, that fall in love and become a fan once they start working for us. So, my story is not unique because there are those of us that have loved it our whole lives, and I'm that person. And I, again, feel so grateful to be that. But that's not everyone, and Imagineers come from everywhere with all kinds of walks of life to make the magic that you see today.
I went to school as an engineer, and after that, I owned my own software company. So I was very technical. And then in thinking about, wow, they do make those attractions. Yeah. But in looking more into it, I said, but I don't want to go the engineering route. I want to go the creative route. I want to be a concept person, a concept designer. So that was the leap for me, was how to take that technical background and transition it onto a creative path. And I was able to do that and be successful. But because I also had the background in engineering, that also meant that I got to play this liaison, in between type of role to help the creative group understand the technical and to help the technical group understand the creative. And that has helped me during my career at Imagineering to be this person in between.
Jeanette, since you oversee everything going on at the Disneyland Resort, what are you most proud of with your most recent opening with Avengers Campus and how guests are responding to that new land really in real time as they're experiencing it?
Well, I mean, there's so many things I am so proud of, right? I mean, Disneyland just reopened and we're back and better than ever. And there were so many classics that we got to refresh, like Snow White, Enchanted Wish, and Haunted Mansion, and the Carousel. But Avengers Campus is near and dear to my heart, incredibly special. My kids, and this is why we do it, Imagineers do it not for just who we were once, for me as a little girl, but for our families, our friends, our loved ones, and our own children. And my boys are huge fans of Spider-Man and the Avengers. And so they wanted to be superheroes. So to take them through the land, for them to enjoy, to see Spider-Man flying through the air at crazy heights. I mean, and to see that look of wonder and awe, although I will say they did not know that Spider-Man was a robot. But that just to say, oh yeah, wow, Spider-Man's flying through the air, and then here comes out Spider-Man, and here's his personality. Like, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of us being able to do these things and take them to literally new heights, right? And that something like Spider-Man, I'll tell you, we didn't know how we were going to do that. It sounds crazy, the innovation behind that, and that was all done internally with our R&D Imagineers. It's just, I don't know, really, really phenomenal.
Yeah, and even just the technology. I mean, I was at the media preview for the opening and getting to ride the Spider-Man ride. It wasn't till I got off the ride where I was like, was I just using my hands for that? Like, it's so crazy that you just come to kind of accept that. And I love that.
And the beauty is, if you're accepting it, we are perfectly happy for that to be the case, right? All the nuts and bolts and the technology that's behind that, if you don't want to know about that, that's totally fine. As long as you know you're slinging webs, great.
Dave, what about for you? Is there something that you've had a hand in that you're most proud of?
I was able to work on an Indiana Jones adventure for Disneyland when we were developing and opening it. I was the vehicle animator. So that's the person who rides the vehicle, and we set all the motion for every bump and twist and turn. So I have the world record for the most rides on that ride. But that was great because you were helping to bring to life this adventure. We've seen the Indiana Jones movies. You want to be in that world, and watching all the disciplines come together to make this amazing, snippet of an experience that puts me in the middle of a film. And knowing that I'm a part of that, I get to contribute my one part to that, and everybody's part is critical and necessary. That was really cool. And then to see the final thing and watch the guests go, come off and just say, "That's amazing. Let's get back in line." Those are the types of moments that you cherish.
If there were no restrictions or impossibilities or space issues for making it happen, is there a ride no longer, or some sort of attraction no longer at one of the Disney theme parks that you would want to bring back to experience again?
Yes. Adventures Through Inner Space.
It's a classic.
When I was a kid, it was very, like you walked into that space and you saw the eyeball and you saw the shrinking. I mean, that blew your mind. You actually thought you were shrinking down. I mean, of course, it hasn't been around for decades, but to me, I would love to experience that again as an adult, right? But knowing as a kid the impact it had on me and how it just blew my mind, I'd love to ride that again for sure.
That is a classic, and I got to experience that when it was open also. But I'm gonna go the other coast. I'm gonna say Horizons at Epcot.
Oh, good one.
It's great. I love that. I remember being there when it opened and loving it. And I was also on the design team that created Mission Space, which was an attraction that eventually was in the same location. So there are plenty of attractions. And this goes back to the comment of Walt Disney about, the park will never be finished as long as there's imagination left in the world. There's always imagination. And we're always looking for opportunities to put new and different experiences in our parks. Sometimes that means something has to come out to make room for something new.
My heart is with the Country Bears. So I would bring them back closer to Anaheim so that I didn't have to, think about having to go somewhere else to see them. I would want them to be closer to me again.
Or to go to Tokyo to see the country shows in Tokyo.
Yeah. Well, do you have a favorite weird or wild thing that has been at Disney at some point? Like we see, the Star Wars ballet or the mermaids that hung out. I mean, is there like a weird or wild aspect of Disney that you are particularly fond of?
I mean, listen, there's so many weird, fantastical stories that go into making our attractions. Like, for me, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout and bringing that one to life was just weird, period. And in a really good way. It was like, here's your mission statement. So we have the second film coming out, and it's like a year plus change. And we know that Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, Disney California Adventure is a beloved attraction, but you think you could make that work? And then of course, all the hilarity that ensued because of that. Like, it was weird to think about doing that. And I still have, talk about going, Dave, I did every ride profile and multiple songs in the middle of the night, which I never recommend anyone do, but that's the time we had to do it, right? Because it was the middle of the night and the park wasn't operating. I think I went 8 times straight once. It was a lot, but we have all kinds of weird stories. So I don't know if I could limit it to one, but you make impossible, crazy, amazing, wondrous things, and a lot of weird comes out of it. Now, whether or not those stories have been told yet, we're just starting to do that, is the question. But there are so many.
And it's funny because they are quirky, and Jenna's absolutely right. The guest is experiencing, Mission Breakout, and it's a great ride. But we narrow it down to the absolute best quintessential experience we could for the guest. As designers, we got to experience all the things that didn't quite work, which helped us narrow down to the thing that did work. But that means we had rode so many different versions, and sometimes those are the quirky things, the things that the guest never sees, that didn't quite pass our muster, but were still fun for different reasons. A guest will never get to see that, but we sort of hint at some of that. We let you look a little bit behind the curtain in the Behind the Attractions series. So hopefully you'll get a sense for what that's like.
Is it fun to work in a place where there's this sense of, there's sort of this running theme in these episodes that, if you can't do the ride when you imagine it, just keep on it because eventually the technology will catch up. Is it fun to work somewhere where it really does feel like the imagination is limitless?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Imagineers are greater as a sum than our equal parts, because we are tasked. I mean, really, we say we are tasked to do the impossible. We do impossible things like that. So whenever someone comes to us and says, hey, do you think this is possible? Sure, we'll try it. So as an example, not covered in the series, but Pandora, the world of Avatar at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Hey, you think it could float mountains, 150 feet up in the air? We've never done that before. I don't know. Well, okay, we'll think about it. I mean, literally, it is. I don't think there is anywhere else in the world quite like it, where we get asked to do crazy things. And instead of saying, no, that's not possible, we literally put people in a room and say, how do we make that possible? And because collectively we figure out a way to do it. That creates an extraordinary culture, and it creates all the extraordinary stories that we are starting to talk about now, right? That's a thing. And I think it's, it is fun. It's fun to do the impossible. And I know that's been said before, but it is 100% true.
And Imagineers are problem solvers. We love being given a challenge, but you don't always want just an open-ended challenge. Yes, anything is possible, absolutely, positively. But when all is said and done, we have to be able to make an experience that you actually get to walk through the door and have fun on. And part of the fun of the process is also whittling away from the everything is possible to the what's the final quintessential experience that best summarizes, what is it like to fly through Pandora? What is it like to escape with, C-3PO and R2D? What is it like to... Those are the experiences that's part of the problem solving, is to come down to what is the nugget? What is the thing that best summarizes that experience? And that's a totally different type of challenge, but equally fun.
Well, as someone who gets to cover theme parks, I appreciate the little glimpse of the magic that I get. So I thank you guys for talking to me about it.
You are most welcome.
Thank you very much.